Good morning. Good to speak to you. So just touching on that lack of games, you had great momentum in December, 5-0 winners on Boxing Day, but things haven't gone so well since. I wonder what the mood is in the squad. You talk about being refreshed and ready to go, but that momentum has clearly suffered.
Yeah, for different reasons we didn't get the results. Very different the performance that we had against City. And the draw that we had against Burnley, and in between we have the cup games. A lot happened there. We played 3 games out of 5 with 10 men, which, if that's one of the things in the last 17 games, we continue to do that, our chances to be where we are, they're going to be really low. The other thing is we lost a lot of players because of COVID and injuries is another key factor again, which is going to be determined where we finish in the season. And that's it, because performance-wise, I don't think that the team dropped the level that much, but here it is about results.
Talking of which, you've got one to get on Thursday against Wolves. You've not played them, I don't think, this season, but you now play them twice in 2 weeks. What sort of challenge do they pose for you?
Well, they've been really consistent and really efficient throughout the season. That's what the league table is doing and is showing, and the performances that they put in. So it's a really difficult opponent all the time. We're going to be playing them twice, but we are difficult too.
You've not signed too many players in January. You're just the one. He's not arriving till the summer, I don't think. A number of players have left. Arsenal fans might wonder if the squad is a little thin now and you've got quite a lot of games to catch up and play. Is that something that might work against you, the fact you've got games to play, and are you happy with what happened in January?
We did what we believed it was the right thing to do. First of all, with the players that had to leave, obviously, the squad composition and the contract situation were catching up in many of those situations. We had to make decisions, be fair as well with players that haven't had a lot of minutes this season on them, and that's what we did. And then we had a very clear plan of what we could do, and then it has to be doable. But Edu and his team, they've done a fantastic job, and they continue to do that. But we are very clear. We only want the best people and the best players at this club. And when we are in a rush or different pressures and the reasons are not the right ones to get a player on board, we decided not to do it.
And just, are you happy with where you're at then, with 17 games left, and what do you think you can still achieve this season?
I trust the players, the qualities that we have, the spirits, the togetherness that we have around the team, and we can achieve what we want. And we're going to need high level of performances. We're going to need our supporters on board. That's going to be so key, and we're going to have a real goal. But again, we can only go game by game.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Tim from Sky.
Morning, Mikel. You okay? Just picking up on the transfer window, Aubameyang's exit and the lack of a direct replacement. How concerned are you about that? Does it leave you short in that position? Are there enough goals in the squad?
Well, always trajectory at the club and the importance of his goals is unquestionable. But we have other players, and we believe we have other qualities in different ways to try to accomplish the amount of goals that we need in the team, and that's what we're going to try to do.
And Aubameyang's exit, had the situation between you and him got to a point where it was just best for all parties for him to move on? Had it become an unwelcome distraction?
Well, you asked me the question directly to me, so I respond. I'm extremely grateful for what Oba has done at the club, for his contributions since I've been here, and the way I see myself in that relationship is the solution, not the problem.
And you mentioned earlier the clear objectives between now and the end of the season. What are those objectives? And you also touched on the red card situation. How do you solve that?
Well, we have to play with 11 players on that pitch. We need most of the players available and fit as much as possible. We need to maintain the togetherness. We have to keep improving our game model, and we have to go game by game. And to do that, We have to be super focused and we have to perform on the day, and the rest will come because we are on the hunt and we are in the position. It's possible and we can achieve it, but only if everybody is on that mindset.
And can I ask you about injuries? Tomiyasu, his fitness, will he be available?
He's there. He had a recurrent injury in the same place, so we have to be careful with him, but he's been training hard. Let's see if he's available or not.
Thanks, Mikel. All the best.
Thank you.
George, BBC.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, Mikel. When you convinced Aubameyang to stay and he had that great season for you when you won the FA Cup, are you a little bit disappointed about how this has all ended up?
Well, I think it ended up in the best possible way for everybody. I think when things change and the context changes, and this is part of football. What we did yesterday or a month ago is not relevant. It's what we're doing today and what we are going to be able to do in the future. And you have to make decisions. We all made the decision that the best thing to do was to move on, and now he plays for Barca.
When did you make that decision? Was it after his latest disciplinary breach that you decided that was it? He was never going to play for you again?
We have had different kind of meetings, and it's a decision that obviously we take collectively with the club, with the player and his agents.
With regards to the transfer window, I think you've got yourself on the cusp of top four, and Arsenal fans are a little bit disappointed that they haven't seen a new striker come in. Can you just explain, I mean, is it a bit of a gamble you've taken?
Well, we have two strikers. We have Laka, we have Eddie with us, and they are both more than capable of scoring goals, and they have shown that over the years with us. And again, when we have to replace or improve the squad, it can only be with a player that we are certain, first of all, is the right person and the right character to join, and then a player that with his quality can straight away impact the performance of the team and our capacity to build a future around him as well.
So are you saying almost that there wasn't the right player at the right price in this window?
First of all, that I trust the players that I have. This is what I want to say.
Okay, thanks very much. Good luck tonight.
Yeah.
Ian, TalkSport.
Hi, Mikel, how are you?
Hi.
Can I ask you bluntly, when Aubameyang joined Barcelona, he was asked why he left Arsenal and were you the problem, and he, without going into too many details, basically said yes. Were you disappointed with that comment?
Sorry, Ian, can you repeat the question?
When Aubameyang joined Barcelona, he was asked whether you were the problem for him at Arsenal, and he basically said yes without going into too many details. Were you disappointed with that? Were you disappointed he didn't show a bit of class, just said, I left because I left?
It's his opinion, and that's his opinion. That's what I said. You have to respect that.
Will you be playing almost with a false number 9 as well at some points this season? Do you think now you've only got the 2 strikers?
We can play with different kind of 9s, and we have the option and the variability to do it. We can play with 2 9s as well because we have 2. Let's see, depending on the game, where we are, the stage of the game as well, we have variables.
I guess the last 2 weeks has also given you a chance to hit the reset button, hasn't it? Because, after a really good period, as has been documented, the Premier League, you were struggling a little bit, and obviously you had those cup defeats.
Yeah, well, we play in the last 5 games, 3 different competitions. The Premier League, we play City, then we play FA Cup against Forest, and the 2 games against Liverpool on the tie. That were extremely complicated because of the suspension, the COVID situation, the injuries, and then the last draw against Burnley, that we should have won the game. But it's what it is. That's why, again, there were many factors there that is a lesson on those games why we didn't win more football matches there, and things that they are in our control, hopefully in the future, and we can do better.
Can I ask you finally about player discipline? There may be a number of red cards that your team has got recently could be put perhaps down to player discipline. I'm also thinking about, we've seen quite high profile incidents at other clubs during this international break at Brentford and yesterday at West Ham. But as a manager, do you almost have your heart in your mouth when you send your players home or send them away for a week or a few days off, hoping that they're going to behave, hoping they're not going to bring you and the club into some sort of problems in terms of national, international headlines?
I think when the culture is so rooted and strong, I think the manager has very little to do there because everything can handle almost in the dressing room, and that's the ideal scenario. it takes a while to get that done, but in my opinion here we are not too far of that.
But how do you get over to players that they've got to behave and they've got to uphold the club's ethos when they're away from the club?
Well, I think there are a few factors. First of all, how we raise them. So through our academy, the type of characters that we build, and that's the best way to do it in that pathway. Then in recruitment, the type of characters, personality that you are signing, and make sure they are the right ones to fit within your culture. And then the other ones is lead by example. So when you see certain behaviors daily, they become habits, and those habits are easy to follow. And once they are integrated, I don't think anybody can escape to that, try to do something different, because it gets exposed.
Thanks, Mikel. Thanks again.
Mark, BA?
You said you saw yourself as a solution and not a problem to the issue with Aubameyang. What was the problem with him that you were trying to solve?
What I'm saying is that I've been the solution, 100%. I can look in the eye of anybody.
So in terms of, from your perspective, you did nothing wrong in your relationship with Pierre?
Wrong, I do a lot of things wrong, for sure. But the intention all the time is the best, and not for me. It's for the club and for the team.
With the young squad that you do have, I know it's talked about quite a lot. Do you need a captain who sets the best example on and off the pitch? Is that part of the process?
Some exceptional senior players that are really helping. The way the young players are doing so well is because they have the senior players next to them giving the example. The togetherness, the chemistry that I saw in the last 2 weeks, a little bit out of the competition. We haven't had time since I've been here because of COVID, 2 years without preseason, without having time to spend together. Is the thing probably that I'm most proud of, and not only around the players but the staff and the real chemistry that is there. That's something that is going to stay here.
Will Lacazette be your captain for the rest of the season?
Laka is the captain at the moment, yes.
Sir Alex Ferguson always installed an ethos at Manchester United that no one was bigger than the club. Given what's happened with Aubameyang and previously with the likes of Mesut Ozil, are you sending that same message?
I don't send. I think, and it's not me here, guys. It's the club. We are, and we make the decisions to defend the club, to try to improve the club as much as possible, to respect the tradition and the values of this club, and obviously you talk much more about the difficult decisions than the positive ones, but there are far more positive decisions than difficult ones. But those ones at the end, I think they will become very, very positive as well. But today probably is difficult to see.
Would you have let Flo Balogun go out on loan if you'd known Aubameyang would be leaving?
Well, again, and with Flo especially, and the amount of minutes that he played here and the level that he shows when he only can play with under 20, it was not fair. And if we want to develop that player to maximize his potential, which is huge, we have to try to expose the player as quick as possible to the level that he needs to be exposed. And I was really confident that for him it was the right option. He was convinced. So when that happens, we have to let the player go and evolve.
And just finally, Pierre wasn't the only player that left. Obviously, during the January window, there were other players that made their departures. Do you think the club are now in a position where they won't have to pay players to leave or agree terminations anymore, and that period of the club is now in the past?
Hopefully, by the turnaround of the squad, when we had that many things to do, and we already seen the amount of changes and the contractual situations that are very much attached to those players are really difficult to handle. And if we want to think the squad to have the capacity to evolve and improve it, you have to make those decisions when you have the opportunity, because sometimes you want to do it and you don't have, sometimes you have, but the player doesn't want to do. So we believe it was the right thing to do, but as always, Mark, only results will tell when you are right or wrong. That ball has to be on the net.
Thanks, Miguel. Good luck tomorrow.